Alex Martinez was behind the wheel of his car, returning home on a rainy October night. The clock struck almost midnight as he crossed the famous Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, the city where he was born and raised. The rain hit hard against the windshield, and the visibility was poor. Without warning, a car ahead skidded, causing a chain accident that involved several vehicles, including Alex's. When the paramedics arrived at the scene, they found Alex unconscious with severe injuries. He was quickly taken to the UCSF Medical Center, where doctors diagnosed severe head trauma and placed him in an induced coma to try to control brain swelling. News of the accident left his family in shock. In the hospital, Alex's mother, Maria, a Mexican immigrant who dedicated her life to the well-being of her children, stood beside her, holding her hand tightly. His father, Joseph, and his younger sister, Isabella, were also there, each processing fear and uncertainty in his own way. The doctor said all we can do now is wait and pray, Joseph said, trying to keep his voice steady. But his eyes did not hide his despair. Mary, always the rock of the family, responded with an unwavering determination. We will speak to him every day. He needs to hear our voices, know that we are here with him. He will come back to us. In the following days and weeks, the Martinez family routine revolved around visits to the hospital. Each day, Maria spoke to Alex about the events of the day, telling him about Isabella, who had just started at Berkeley, and about the small victories and challenges of everyday life. Alex, today the sky was clear, you would have loved to see. I remembered when we would go to Crissy Field and you would run along the beach, always so full of energy. We're waiting for one more of these days, my son. Isabella, in turn, brought music, one of Alex's great passions. She would put headphones on Alex and play her favorite songs, hoping that the familiarity of the sounds could reach him. You always loved that song, remember? She said, expecting any sign of recognition, any movement that indicated that he heard it. As the months turned into years, the world outside the UCSF Medical Center kept turning. San Francisco saw changes, new developments emerged, and the lives of the people around it moved on. But for the Martinez family, time seemed to be in an eternal wait. Doctors occasionally suggested giving up, considering palliative care, but Maria firmly rejected these suggestions. He is a fighter, she insisted. As long as there is hope, we will not give up. And so, in the silence of the hospital room, with the view of the city that Alex loved so much in the background, the family kept vigil, talking, waiting, and never giving up. Their love was a beacon in the darkness, a constant sign of hope in the midst of despair. As the years passed, the daily routine around Alex's coma became a litmus test for the Martinez family members. Every birthday, every holiday, every change of season was marked by the constant shadow of Alex's absence, who lay motionless in the hospital bed, his eyes closed to the world that kept spinning around him. Mary, the matriarch of the family, turned her pain into dedication. Every day, after work, she went to the hospital. Sitting next to Alex's bed, she read to him books ranging from poetry to adventure novels, hoping that words could reach some waking corner of her mind. On especially quiet nights, she talked to him about her childhood memories, about the family holidays to Lake Tahoe, and about how Alex loved skiing in the snow-capped mountains. You've always been so adventurous, Alex, she whispered, holding her cold hand. You need to come back to us for more adventures. Joseph, on the other hand, was torn between hope and pragmatism. He supported Mary in her devotion, but the long waking hours began to affect him deeply. The emotional pressure of seeing his son in that state for so long began to erode his own health. Joseph struggled to maintain a facade of strength, but on lonely nights, he let tears fall freely, a silent outpouring that he shared only with the walls of his workshop, where he repaired old clocks. I just wish I could fix that too, he muttered, referring to the broken watch on his countertop, but clearly thinking of his son. Isabella, the youngest, grew up in the shadow of her brother's condition. While her friends talked about career plans, travel, and romance, Isabella felt a burden that kept her trapped in San Francisco, reluctant to go too far away from Alex and her family. Her life unfolded in small gestures of support and long conversations with Alex, even if he could not answer. "I got my diploma, Alex," she said proudly, holding her hand while putting a graduation hat over his head for a brief moment, trying to provoke any kind of reaction. The family was not alone in this journey. Friends and acquaintances often visited, bringing meals, words of encouragement, and sometimes just the silent presence that said they were not forgotten. The community around them oscillated between moments of fervent support and the inevitable periods of remoteness, where life itself dragged them away from the walls of the UCSF Medical Center. At the hospital, the team of doctors and nurses became an extension of the Martinez family. Nurses like Jasmine, who worked night shifts, spent hours talking to Maria, sharing stories of other medical miracles, of patients who had, against all odds, woken from long comas. "Don't lose hope, Mary. I've seen incredible things happen in these corridors," Jasmine said, holding Mary's hand among her own, a gesture of solidarity and understanding. However, over the years, visits declined, conversations became more introspective, and hope, once vibrant and fervent, began to wear out like the pages of the books Maria read to Alex. The weight of time was relentless, and although none of them ever spoke of giving up, the reality of their situation began to settle like a thick, cold fog. On a particularly difficult night, when the wind was howling outside and the rain was hitting the hospital windows, Maria sat beside Alex's bed, watching the raindrops flow out the window, reflecting on the years of waiting and silence. Nurse Jasmine entered the room to check the monitors and noticed the grim expression on Maria's face. "Is everything okay, Maria?" asked Jasmine, her soft voice cutting off the silence. Mary smiled weakly, a gesture that carried years of pain and resilience. "Sometimes I just wonder how much longer we can go on like this. But I look at him and I can't give up. It's my son." Jasmine squeezed Maria's shoulder, a gesture of support. "He's very lucky to have her, and we're here with you, every day." That night, as Maria spoke to Alex about the memories of her last trip to Santa Cruz Beach before the accident, a tear escaped from her eyes and fell on Alex's hand. She talked about the waves, the laughter, the melted ice cream on her fingers. And as she spoke, she held Alex's hand, as if trying to convey all those memories through her touch. Back home, Jose was in his watch repair space, dismantling and assembling parts with meticulous precision. Working on old clocks was not just a means of sustenance, but a form of meditation, a way of bringing order to the chaos he felt internally. Every piece has its place, every mechanism its function, he thought. If only he could find the piece that would bring Alex back. Isabella, now more adult and aware of the fragility of life, began to allow herself to dream again about the future, but always with a hand extended to the past, never allowing herself to forget her brother. She engaged with online support groups for families with comatose loved ones, seeking and offering solace in a community that understood their pain without need of explanation. The life of the Martinez family was a tapestry of love, hope, and pain, intertwined with the strength that came from their union and the support of those around them. And at the center of that tapestry was Alex, the link that kept them connected, the silent heart of their lives. On a quiet spring afternoon, the UCSF Medical Center Hospital was particularly hectic with the arrival of new residents and the constant flow of visitors. In Alex's room, sunlight was gently filtered through the curtains, illuminating the room in an almost ethereal way. Mary was there, as always, holding Alex's hand, as she spoke softly about the gardens that were beginning to bloom outside. "Alex, the cherry trees are starting to bloom again. Remember when we went to the Cherry Blossom Festival at Japantown? You loved the colors and the food festival," she said, hoping, as always, for any sign of recognition. As Maria spoke, something remarkable happened. Alex's fingers, which had been motionless for so many years, gave a slight shake. Mary stopped talking, her eyes fixed on her son's hand. She held her breath, almost afraid that breathing could undo that fragile moment. "Alex?" She called out, her voice in a trembling whisper. She slightly shook her hand, and again, saw Alex's fingers move. "Nurse, come quickly, please," she cried, Her voice rose in a mixture of hope and fear. Jasmine, the nurse who was in the hallway, ran into the room. She observed Alex's vital signs and then witnessed another small but significant handshake. She quickly activated the medical team. Within minutes, the room was full of doctors and nurses, all focused on Alex. "We're seeing signs of increased neurological activity," explained Dr. Singh, the neurologist who followed Alex's case from the beginning. "This may be an indication that he is trying to awaken." Mary, holding hands with Joseph, who had just arrived after receiving an urgent call from Mary, stared at Alex, tears of hope filling her eyes. Isabella ran into the room soon after, her heart pounding with the possibility of having her brother back. In the following days, Alex's room became a place of constant monitoring and testing. Every little movement, every change in the monitors was looked at with hope. And then, one bright morning, as the sun's rays danced over Alex's face, his eyes opened slowly. The room fell into a respectful silence, all eyes fixed on him. Maria approached. Her face was the first that Alex saw. "Alex, it's me, your mother," she said, her voice choked with emotion. Alex looked confused, trying to process the faces around him. His eyes finally settled on Maria, and a slow recognition crossed his face. A tear ran down Alex's face as he tried to speak. Mother." Her voice was hoarse, almost inaudible, but to Mary, it was the sweetest sound she had ever heard. News of Alex's awakening spread quickly. The Martinez family received messages from friends, neighbors, and community members who accompanied Alex's long journey. Many saw his awakening as a miracle, a proof that hope and faith, even in the face of the harshest adversities, should never be abandoned. Alex's recovery was slow. He spent weeks in intensive care, relearning basic motor skills and adapting again to the world that continued without him. Every progress, however small, was celebrated as a great victory by the Martinez family. Isabella spent hours in the hospital, helping Alex with her speech and movement therapy. "You're doing a great job, Alex," she encouraged, celebrating every word spoken and every step taken, however hesitant it was. Alex, though often frustrated with the slowness of progress, found solace in the constant presence and encouragement of his family. Joseph, who had always maintained a cautious hope, now allowed himself to fully believe in Alex's recovery. He adapted his workshop to be able to work on a few hospital days, setting up small clocks near Alex. "See, son, every piece is essential, just like every little step you take in your recovery," he explained, using the clocks as a metaphor for Alex's healing process. Maria, always beside Alex, turned her readings and conversations into therapy sessions. She read stories that Alex loved, discussed current events, and recounted family stories, helping him reconnect with the outside world and his own past life. Over time, Alex began to show signs of recognition and more complex interaction. He began to ask questions, showing curiosity about what he had lost, about how the world had changed. The family took turns to keep Alex updated, bringing newspapers, books, and even tablets to show him recent videos and music. One day, while Isabella showed Alex a video of a live concert from one of his favorite bands that had become famous while he was in a coma, Alex smiled broadly, a clear sign of pleasure and connection. "I remember hearing them on the radio," he commented, and Isabella laughed, happy to see these flashes of memory returning. "Yes, and now they are super famous. When you're better, we'll go to one of their shows. I promise," Isabella replied, excited about making future plans with Alex. The medical team was also optimistic about Alex's recovery. Dr. Singh in particular was impressed with the progress. "It's rare to see such a significant recovery after such a long coma. Alex is really an extraordinary case," he shared with the family, reinforcing that the combination of ongoing family support and current medical care were making a significant difference. Physical and cognitive therapy sessions became an integral part of Alex's days, with specialized therapists working with him to strengthen his muscles and his mind. Every step taken, every new word, every memory recovered, was a celebration for Alex and his family. As the months turned into years after Alex's awakening, The Martinez family saw the miracle of his progress unfold before their eyes. The life that was once concentrated around hospital visits and surveillance now began to expand to include more of the normalcy and daily joys that had been so abruptly disrupted. Alex, whose recovery continued to surprise everyone, began to resume his life, albeit at a much different pace than before. His journey of rehabilitation was long and full of challenges, but each new day brought small triumphs that added up. He was now able to walk with the help of a walker. His words were clearer and his smile, which once seemed so distant, was a common sight. Maria organized a small party to celebrate Alex's birthday at home, the first since his accident. Friends and family gathered, bringing with them the warmth and joy that the Martinez house had not seen for years. The yard was decorated with lights and flowers, and the soft music played in the background, while everyone celebrated not only Alex's birthday, but his incredible struggle for life. Today we celebrate not just another year of life, but every moment, every day you fought to be here with us, said Maria, thrilled, as she cut the cake. Alex, with tears in his eyes, looked around at all those who had walked beside him on this long journey. Joseph, who had been a support rock during the darkest years, now allowed himself to relax a little more, proud of his son's progress. He and Alex spent the afternoons together in the workshop, where Alex learned the art of watchmaking. These moments were not only therapeutic, but also a way to reconnect father and son through a shared interest. Isabella, now more engaged in her career, still found time to be with Alex, especially helping him with the new technologies and applications that facilitated his rehabilitation and communication. She had become a fervent supporter of patients with brain trauma, using her own experience to help other families in similar situations. "You inspire me every day, Alex," Isabella often said. "Watching you fight gives me the strength to help more people who are going through what we've been through." The surrounding community also began to see Alex not only as a miracle, but as a symbol of hope and perseverance. He was invited to speak at local events, sharing his history and the importance of family support and faith in times of adversity. At one of these events, Alex spoke to a small crowd at the local community center. "Every step I took to get here was possible because of my family and the doctors who never gave up on me," he said, his voice firm and full of emotion. Hope is more than a feeling. It is the force that keeps us going when everything seems lost. Alex's story and the tireless dedication of his family became known not only in the local community, but also in forums and social networks, inspiring people from all over the world. Messages and letters came from people who shared their own stories of struggle and recovery, creating a network of support and understanding that transcended borders. While Alex continued to regain his abilities and adapt to his new reality, he also found a new purpose: to help others who were going through similar traumas. Along with Isabella, he began working on a project for an app that could help patients in recovery from brain injuries improve their cognitive and motor skills through games and daily tasks. The end of Alex's story was not simply the end of a period of suffering, but the beginning of a new journey of impact and contribution. He became an active supporter of neurological rehabilitation support, sharing his story at conferences and medical meetings, highlighting the importance of family involvement and personalization in the recovery process. Meanwhile, the Martinez family continued to strengthen the bonds that kept them together during the most difficult years. They celebrated Alex's small victory as a continuing miracle, recognizing the blessing that each new day represented. Alex's transformation also brought new opportunities for the whole family. Maria began organizing support groups for families of patients with severe brain injuries, providing a space for sharing experiences and coping strategies. Joseph, in turn, published a short manual on how watchmaking mechanics can be used as occupational therapy, inspiring others to find peace and purpose in hobbies and manual crafts. Isabella has become an influential voice in the healthcare technology community, driving innovations in devices and applications that help rehabilitate patients with brain injuries. His brother's story served as a powerful testament to the positive impact that technology can have on medical recovery. The Martinez home, once marked by the shadow of trauma and uncertainty, was now a place of light and inspiration. The walls, which had witnessed so many moments of despair, now echoed with laughter and plans for the future. In a family gathering, with the house full of friends and family, Alex stood up to speak, supported by a walker, but strong in spirit. "Each of you helped me rebuild my life piece by piece," he said, looking at every face in the room. "This is not just my victory, but our victory. Together, we turn adversity into opportunity." Alex's story did not end with her awakening. She just started a new chapter. He and his family understood that, however devastating the trials, they can give way to new beginnings and unimaginable possibilities. Alex not only came back to life, he brought with him a new purpose and a new hope that radiates, positively influencing those around him. Thus, the journey of the Martinez family has become a symbol that even in the most challenging circumstances, love, persistence, and support can pave the way for miracles that go far beyond physical recovery, reaching the healing of souls and the transformation of the lives of many. If you like this exciting story, help us by leaving your like and subscribing to our channel. Until the next story.